Good. So like I said, thank you, Kelsey. I'm going to go pretty fast because we have a lot on the plate today. But yeah, this workshop is going to focus on my specific job search experience and key takeaways that worked for me. This summer, just to give you a little bit of background, I was a retail management intern with CVS Health. So this program was designed to prepare future retail store leaders. Basically, we get mentored by a current store leader, uh, get to work with them, and they kind of guide us through their responsibilities and what they're doing on a daily basis. Um, Fortunately enough, I was able to secure a position starting as a store manager in training upon my graduation in June. And yeah, I'm just gonna talk about the process and how I got here. So I started my search process last fall and winter quarters. Most of the job opportunities that I was searching for, I found online through websites like Glassdoor and Indeed, which are very useful because you can filter by location and position theme. I also went to the career fair, and you can see this picture on the left. That's how it usually looks for those of you who are maybe new to UC Davis. That's how it usually looks um, during regular quarters without the pandemic. So that's a great opportunity where tons of recruiters come in to campus, and you get to talk to them, find out about their opportunities, and leave your resume. Other useful resources is the UC Davis Handshake website. This is a great tool for you to find jobs and internships. You can also create a profile where you're going to be visible to recruiters and they can contact you. Um, the Internship and Career Center is also offering virtual services this quarter, such as career advice appointments, workshops, recruitment events, and document reviews. So check that out. And now I'm going to go into my key takeaways, key takeaway preparation tips. So first tip, don't be afraid of rejection because it's going to happen. When I started applying for jobs, I started out being a little bit more picky. By the end of the search, I had probably sent out 30 different applications. About a third of them never even responded or got back to me. Most of them will just send you an email, kindly rejecting it. And I probably got about 5 or 6 interviews. And most of them were from my later application because with every time you get better and you add stuff to your resume and you get a more solid application. But yeah, just be ready because it's very competitive out there. And don't be upset if you think that a certain opportunity was going to be a great fit and you didn't get it because truly not every opportunity is for you. And usually, most of the time, recruiters have a pretty good idea of how well you were going to fit in. So if you just stay patient and keep applying, the right opportunity will definitely find you at the right time. So just some quick things that work best for me, and I'm sure Target is going to go into more specific resume and interview tips. But on your resume, you don't have to include all of your experience. Just include the most relevant and strong experiences. If you don't have a lot of work experience up until this day, try to front load your most important things that you want to convey into the very first start of the resume and where it's visible because I think the statistic is that on average recruiters look at your resume for just like a couple of seconds. So you want to highlight that straight away. Also look at strong examples, have others look over your resume. This is something that I was uncomfortable with in the beginning, but every time I gave my resume to someone else, there was at least one thing that they saw for improvement. So definitely don't be shy to give your resume to others. It's very beneficial. And you can always reach out to any one of us on board for resume tips, or if you want us to look over your resume, all of us are more than happy to do so. Cover letters, not always necessary. I probably stopped writing cover letters after my couple first rejections because they take time, and it's just like with resumes. Sometimes recruiters don't really have time to look over them. I would say if you really find a specific position that you're very interested in, then that's a good time to write a cover letter, but you always want to tailor it for the position. So if you have a generic cover letter that you're going to send out to several recruiters, that's not going to work or going to be effective at all, because you want to be able to tie your experience and what you're looking for with this job. And make sure to be as specific and concise as possible, because recruiters are busy. So you want to get to the point. And then, so the resume is going to be your number one key to securing the interview. But to get the actual job, the interview is going to be the main part where it's your time to shine. So do your research, come prepared, always have dress business professional. The number one thing that helped me in interviews was to look over the most common asked questions and anticipate them and prepare answers. Just practice them. Have a friend ask you those questions, because usually you'll end up finding yourself in several interviews and you're answering the same, you're telling them the same story, because they're pretty much similar most of the time. And these are some EBSA transferable skills that you should leverage on your resume or in your responses to your interview questions. These are really useful, and this is what really sets us apart as EBSA members. So for example, teamwork, communication, coordination, those are all things that you learn when participating in a case competition. You also learn presentation skills, public speaking. Not only is that good to leverage on your resume, but it's once you get an internship, you're going to find yourself in situations where you have to make presentations and do public speaking. So that is going to translate very well. And I had to experience that this summer. If you're taking leadership initiatives or committee participation, maybe you're taking a leadership role in your case competition team a certain quarter. Definitely try to leverage that on your resume. That's something you're going to be able to talk about. Effective problem solving and time management skills. Those are part. Specific team knowledge. So as you know, EBSA, every quarter we switch teams, supply chain management, marketing, finance, mergers and acquisitions. You can specify those things on your resume, or what specific outcomes you learned. You can say, oh, I was a finalist in supply chain management, or I took third place in mergers and acquisitions. All those things, make sure to mention that. When the right opportunity does find you, and it's going to do it if you just keep searching, make sure, so don't take your foot off the gas, because this is the time to seize the moment. Once you actually land that internship, this is where it opens up the doors for you to climb and set yourself up for more success in the rest of your career. And one of the things you want to do, you want to set yourself up. If it's a summer internship, don't try to take summer classes, because that's going to take your attention away from the internship. I was registered for a couple of summer classes. I had to drop them because I realized I needed to focus on this. So make sure you set your life up, your sleeping schedule, for you to be able to focus and succeed. Many internships have capstone projects. I'm not going to go into details, but this is something that I had to experience, and I was able to kind of ace my project. So if you ever find yourself in an internship doing something like this, feel free to reach out to me. I can tell you my story and give you some tips on how to do that. So closing recommendation, last fall, we had a guest speaker come to EBSA, and at the end of the event, his name was Michael Dam, and he wrote a book, and he was handing out these free books to us after the guest speaker event. And I just took it, I placed it on the shelf. I didn't think I was ever going to read it, to be honest. But one day when I was in this process, I just opened it up and I started reading, and it's a super good book. It's very straight to the point. Has very good tips on how to land a job, get the interview, get the job, and then how to succeed once you're in there. So a great recommendation if you're looking for other resources as well. Thank you very much. So I'm not going to have time for a Q&A right now, since we're going to go into the Target workshop. But if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Facebook, or just stick around and ask me after the meeting. And then I'm just going to go back. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment, and then Leslie, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, Devin, who just jumped on the call, he's going to go ahead and jump the screen for their PowerPoint presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Just to give you a little tidbit about me, and then Devin will give you his. I am a alumni of UC Davis too, so graduated in 2017, history and communication. I've been working for Target for over 9 years now, and been in my role as an executive human resources leader for the last year and a half, I would say. And during my time, it's been really rewarding and challenging along the way, especially in the era of COVID. So jumping right along to that piece, honestly, I've shared all my best experiences in that role, and I've gained a lot of leadership in that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let Devin kind of explain his journey through Target, and also introduce himself.
Hi, first of all, I want to say thank you to everyone that is with us tonight and allowing us to share a little bit about Target. I'm a human resource business partner for Target. I've been with Target for almost 6 years, and I started my career as an intern. And so I know what it's like to be fresh out of college and really, truly, and honestly start my career in retail. So I started as an intern. I didn't go to UC Davis. I went to Sac State, and I went to a career fair and landed an internship in 2015, and did a couple of store roles inside of stores, supporting them as a in-store HR, as a store director. And now I'm a human resources business partner, so I control 10 stores. I really love it. It's a job that really fulfills me. It's in HR and one of the best companies, I think, in the United States. And I'm super, super excited to share some great things with Leslie. And that's a little bit about me. And I'm excited to maybe get some Q&A with some of you guys as well. We're going to try to get to our PowerPoint as quickly as we can, because really the magic is in the questions, I think. And I know me and Leslie are focused on truly and honestly trying to get questions from you guys. So do not hesitate to interrupt us, to ask questions. Like, we're free flowing on that type of stuff. So Leslie and I will constantly ask if you guys have questions. I'm really here to support Leslie. So she's mostly going to be speaking, but I will be jumping in throughout. So, all right, Les, we have the PowerPoint. I'm ready to move on when you are.
All right, go ahead.
1 second. There we go.
Okay, cool. So going through just doing your research, really, like make sure that you are assessing whether that company or position is right for you, right? And so before you actually like jump on in and try to get that going, really research it, look at the company, see if they share the same values and interests as you, because it might be that those interests or values don't align with yours, and you won't be able to put your best foot forward if you're not able to align with them as well. And do your research your employee benefits that company provides. If that company does not provide the benefits that you're looking for, as well as far as like even time off, if it's more in line with like a non-Monday through Friday, and you are looking more for like that flexibility, look into that as well and what that company is looking for, as well as learn about the company's business operations and the leadership, right? And so looking at business operations is super crucial, because really it's looking at what you'll be doing for the majority of your time, and really it sets the tone of how you will be leading that company forward. So make sure that you're going through that as well, because a lot of the times you will get some questions that relate to that as well during your interview. And then it allows you to discover what the company is looking for, right? So if you're able to assess what the business operations are, as well as go through that and formulate good interview questions, you'd be setting yourself up for success if you can do that research. Devin, if you want to go ahead and go forward.
Yeah, before I move on, like discovering what the company is looking for and if it's the right fit for you is really important. We have a 10 to 12 week internship, and I can take myself back to my internship, and it truly and honestly was a balancing act of, is this the right fit for me? Is this company what I want to see? is this what I want to envision myself doing for a long term or even for the short term? To just discover myself. And after those 12 weeks, I decided that this was the right fit for me. So I think the advice that Leslie just gave you is extremely important. And I think that's why it's the first PowerPoint that we go over.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So doing your research, just going on with that, seeing if you know any of the people that work there, really getting a gauge of what they currently do in there, and seeing if they enjoy it, if it's something that aligns with what you would enjoy as well, just to get like the overall feel of it. But then that also gives you the advantage of knowing what they're looking for, and then seeing if that's right for you too. And then obviously going through counselor career centers and counselors is important as well. Kind of looking at what you have done previously and seeing if that aligns with what your overall career objectives are. And then company info sessions are really important in career fairs because they'll also give you a lot of good information about what the company is about, how it looks like to possibly move forward into a job with them as well. But also gives you more of an idea of what the structure looks like. And then looking at job descriptions, right? Because those are important as well. Specifically what they're looking for. I know a lot of the times when I was looking for a position or when I was thinking about going forward in my career, looking at those job descriptions to see what it is they're looking in a candidate is really important. Even if you don't necessarily have absolutely everything that job description is looking for, if you have the majority of it or can look into possibly like learning more about it, that's super important to really look at those job descriptions. And the professors is a super integral piece of person to go into there and really get an understanding of what they're doing, what you have learned in your schooling to maybe adapt it into what you will be doing in your future career. I know as a history major, I did a lot of researching and reading books and all of that good stuff. And so how I aligned that with how I found my job was really important because I talked a lot about how I would research and really was looking at those fine details.
The only thing I would add is like both Leslie and I, Leslie's the in-store HR, I'm a district level HR. Don't underestimate the power of reading the job description. Underestimate the power of really, truly, and honestly understanding what the company is looking for. A good old job description read is never a bad idea. So don't underestimate that because it's a really important perspective. We can pause any questions you guys have before we keep going because we're totally fluid and we know Q&A's at the end, but we want to make sure you guys have time. Any questions before we keep going? Okay, that's all you.
No? Okay. So resume building. So I'm sure a lot of us have seen that resume that's on the right-hand side, but it's very overused, right? So looking into maybe getting a resume that speaks a little bit more, but obviously keep it 1-page length. Doing more than 1 page is excessive, and sometimes there's a lot to read, like Nikolai was saying. There's a lot of applicants that are coming in, and in this era of COVID, handing them in right now, we don't really grab them at the moment, but really get that digital platform right now is really important. Having a LinkedIn, super crucial. Having it digital is going to be really important right now for you as you're going through that. So keeping it 1-page length, really important. Having it clear and concise at the top, especially when we're looking at LinkedIn's, important to have that top description all set up and ready to go to give what you're looking for, what your career objectives are at the very top. So when recruiters are looking through pages, they're not necessarily having to go into your profile, but they can clearly see from the list of individuals what you stand for and what you're looking for in a company or what your career objective is going forward. So highlighting what you're most proud of, and then diversity experiences skills and interests are super important. And just like Nikolai was talking about, most recent experience is super important. And cover letters are not super old school. So we love seeing a good cover letter just to show like interest in that you've done some research on the position that you're looking for. Okay, so clear objective, customizing that job, customize the job and employer, identifies the position and the field that you're seeking. So just like I mentioned, having it clearly objective of what you're looking for sets the tone for who your basis is, what you're looking for, so that you're not just, it doesn't just show that you're putting in applications left and right, but you're clearly interested in one specific thing. And then just working on your educational overview, work experience, and technical skills. Those are all super important. The biggest thing that I hear in interviews that I don't personally like is when they say they don't have experience. And that's definitely not the case. You can find experience in almost anything, and it does not have to absolutely have to be from a job or where you had monetary value, but mostly like if you had a activity, or just like in being an EBSA, like it's really important to put that in there and what you contributed to that organization and what leadership experiences you gained from them as well.
Totally. One thing I would add on to Leslie's perspective is the career objective, customized to the employer. If you're applying for Target, tell us that you're applying to Target. Tell us that you've read the job description and truly and honestly are interested in the job that you're applying for. It is not an unknown skill to really customize your resume for the specific job that you're applying for. So when they do call you, you know that that was a specific tailored resume for them.
Cool. And then networking, go to the next slide. Networking basics. Basically, never underestimate the power of networking. Currently in my master's program, they highly emphasize networking, and it's to a really good point. If you don't network, peeps won't know that you're looking for a position. Businesses won't look for you either. So you really have to set the tone. You really have to put yourself forward. So networking is extremely important, and as I'm sure you guys know, so make sure that you know who you're going to talk to. So UC Davis has career fairs, I believe, every quarter, or I think in the fall and the spring, right? And so going onto that career page and looking to see what businesses are going to be there, and already having an idea of who you want to speak to so you can have a general path, but also so that you can clearly have already researched those companies so you're not going to their booths. And right now, I think I was all through Handshake. And I know we were there for the Target Career Fair, but really knowing what you're going to speak to them with, and going to their booths and like knowing who you're going to talk to, what your objective is specifically, and knowing like what your major is, graduation day. It's super important to introduce yourself and let them know why you're there today, and not necessarily because you want to find a job, but because you really want to put your best foot forward in the position that they can offer, and what you are looking for in their company as well. Okay.
I had a quick question.
Oh yeah.
So like for networking, what's like the best way to like follow up with like a potential employer or someone you've talked to?
Yeah. I think the best way to follow up is just to make sure to get their email. That's a good question. Make sure to get their email, especially from the recruiters themselves. That way they've had a conversation with you. You can follow up through an email and just say, hey, it was nice speaking to you X day at this place. And then just follow up like that. It's really good to like show that you're like really interested and that you haven't forgotten about them, and they can like follow up with you as well through that.
That's a really good question. 9 times out of 10 is going to be email, but don't be afraid to ask the recruiter too. Say, hey, what is the best way for me to follow up with you around how can I get back to you? Because I'm really interested in this job. That shows that you're committed. Each person's different, but 9 times out of 10 or even more, it's going to be via email.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay.
So the point of an interview, right? They don't know you. And so you're really setting the tone for yourself and putting your best foot forward out there, because they really don't know you. So really you have to let them know what you're about, tell them why you're the best employee for their position, the right one, because we don't know how many interviews they're having, really. So really talk about your skills and why specifically you would be great for that position. And like I said already, really research the position you're going into. If you go in there without knowing, you'll definitely be not set up for success. So make sure you gather information about the position and the company. And that way they can determine if you're in the right position. Sometimes you might show skills or interests in a different position that they have open, but for the most part, make sure that you're letting them know why you'd be a great asset to their company based on the skills and experiences that you've had prior. Cool. So preparing for your interview. So a thing that I like to do is specifically gathering at least 5 basic work experiences or just experiences that you've had in the past that you want to share or that you would be proud to share in the event that they have a question that you could tailor to that. So how you've impacted your current job. So it's really important to not just say things that you've done, but really add context to the accomplishments that you've done to impact that job. So if that means remembering key percentages or numbers, that could really shape what that means to you. So if you've made an impact in sales numbers, anything like that, it's a good strategy to have. But also make sure that you're having a few key leadership accomplishments is super crucial. So what are you proud of? What is your legacy? And what have you left behind from that specific position that you would be proud to share and bring to your own, to that company that you're trying to be a part of going forward?
Yeah, just to piggyback on a couple of things Leslie said, we also want to know what you have done. Situation-based questions is huge, right? Don't tell me what you're going to do, tell me what you have done. And that doesn't mean you have to have a specific job already. Being in a club like this, talking on a discussion and building your brand is telling me what you have done, not necessarily what you will do. So don't take away the power of situation-based, fact-based answerings of questions on what you have done and how you can want to continue to build your brand.
Go to the next slide. It's all about that. So what motivates you, what you've done well, and briefly sharing a recent relative experience. And then if you go to the next slide, it's all about that behavioral based interviewing, right? So like Devin said, it's all about what you've done and not what you will do. So we've all have had experiences that not necessarily have come from a job that you've done, but a situation that you've been in. And so when they ask you a question, answer it with a situation or task that you've done in the past with an action or behavior that you've done before. So what did you do in order to solve the problem and accomplish that task? Really important. And then what was the result and the outcome of it? Was it a good outcome? Did you take away some key learnings or have some opportunities that you could have done as a result of that outcome or result? And then share that. It's really important to let them know what you've done in the past and what you could do for their company.
Totally. And I cannot express how many interviews I've done over my 5 year or 6 years with Target in multiple different positions. Every single one of them was SBO. Every time I've interviewed for a new position over the last 6 years at Target, which I've had 4 now, right? SBO is really, it's not about what you're going to do. It's mostly about what you've done to show that you can succeed in the next position you're in.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So being nervous is going to happen. So just be confident. And that's really hard to do, but be confident, like think of, and what are those things that you can bring yourself to be as confident as you can. Be knowledgeable about the company, have that research. If you go in there without knowing what you're going to be bringing in, then you'll definitely be nervous and that confidence won't shine. So make sure that the interview is centered on you and what are your strengths and your own opportunities that you can discuss. Make sure that is one of the number one key questions. If you do not know what your strengths and opportunities are, it's going to be very, very hard for you to really succeed. And we all have strengths and opportunities. So make sure that you have those listed, and those change all the time, right? As you grow and develop. So make sure that you're having those put together, and be brief to the point, right? Don't ramble or create more in there than you have to, because then the key information that you wanted to convey is lost.
Yeah, I can't stress enough what Leslie mentioned about strengths and opportunities. If you're afraid to talk about your opportunities, it's most likely a signal that you're not ready for that position. And if you aren't leaning into your strengths and displaying how you're really, truly, honestly leaning into those strengths, and also working on those opportunities, it shows that you might not be ready. So lean in. Don't be afraid to talk about your opportunities, and you sure better not be afraid to talk about your strengths.
Yep. Cool. And then virtual interviews. So make sure that you're testing the quality of your video and your internet, and that happens, right? And so make sure that you're testing that out. Make sure that your Zoom is on point, and make sure that you are dressed for success, even though you might be at home, but make sure that you're actually ready to go. At Target, we're doing interviews online and through videos. And so it really shows us, like, do they care about their interview? Like, do they want, like, just like you were in person, make sure that you're presentable and ready to go. And make sure that you rid yourself of distractions, right? So make sure that there isn't, if you can, make sure you're in a quiet room, in a setting where it won't create distractions for yourself nor for the interviewer as well.
I just piggyback on that. There's going to be distractions. Sometimes someone might walk in the room. There might be other things, but control what you can control and be focused, know where the camera is, and look straight ahead, because I promise you, we're looking at your eyes and your body language, also about what you're saying. So don't lean into that. And we know it's different than other times, but virtual interviews are here to stay for a while.
Yep. Cool. All right. And then just make sure to thank them. Obviously, they're going through a lot of candidates and they chose you. So really thank them sincerely, and tell them that you enjoyed meeting them, learning about their company, and just make one last pitch about yourself and why you'd be a great asset to their team. And once again, like, sending in those virtual requests, like the LinkedIn requests, if possible, if they give that to you, and then also through email or asking them, like before, great question about how to follow up.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I see on the slide that it says to ask about decision timing. This is something that in interviews I've always wondered, is it taboo to say, like, do you know, like, when I might hear back or anything like that? So I've always refrained, even though I'm obviously curious. So just kind of wondering what your take is on that.
Good question. Really good question. Leslie, I got this one. It is never taboo to ask. It's taboo to consistently ask. The first time you have an interview and you ask on your timing, sure, ask. But if they go a little longer, it's probably because, I know this because we do it quite often, it's probably because we've got something that we're trying to figure out the best fit for you. It's okay to follow up. It's been some time, because we lose candidates from that. But for 90% of the time, asking that question in the first interview is perfectly appropriate.
Thank you so much.
All right. I think we're in Q&A, right, Les? I think that's all we had for our slide.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in Q&A right now. So I just saw a question from Armdeep. Any tips to beat the nervousness before the interview, to beat that feeling? Should be sending in the note if we do not request them on LinkedIn. What should be sent in the note if we do not request? Oh, on LinkedIn, yes.
Yeah. It is perfectly fine to be nervous. There's never been an interview that I've ever walked into that I wasn't nervous about. And to be honest with you, the myth is up around being nervous is not necessarily a bad thing. Nerves sometimes are necessary. Preparation is key. preparing for your interview is really, 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 really important. And to be able to prepare for your interview is truly and honestly the funnest part of the interview, because you truly and honestly are walking in with that confidence. So if you're nervous, it's okay. Don't think of it as a negative thing. Think of it as a positive thing.
And to the question, to the second piece of that question, sending a note on LinkedIn, requesting them, just letting them know, hey, like I had a really good time, like speaking to you regarding at this time and this thing regarding these positions, and just kind of going through about like why you feel like you'd be a great fit for that internship, and then if they feel like there's any opportunities in the upcoming future.
Any other
Cool.
questions?
Hi, Devin. My name is Kelsey. Thank you, Devin and Leslie, for being here tonight. Devin, I have a question for you, since you said you
Sure.
started your career out with you interning for Target. So I'm just a
Absolutely.
bit curious about what were those reasons that you decided you really wanted to go full-time into Target during that internship? How did you know you wanted to continue?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, especially in 2020. I knew that I didn't want an office job, right? I didn't want to be in an office a 9 to 5 every single day. I knew that I wanted to be in the action. I wanted to be a part of the practitioners of HR. I didn't want to just do payroll or benefits. I wanted to be a person that really led a team of HR professionals and also a team of operational of team leaders and team members, where I controlled a building or I controlled a large group of team members. So I knew I needed to do the hard work of an internship inside of Target. I had a little bit of retail experience. I know most of you have probably worked in retail a little bit, and it's hard. It's not easy. It's not for everyone, but I knew that that's the route that I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to wake up and go to a building every single day and give it my all. And then when I was off, I wanted to be off. I didn't necessarily want to be in an office setting. That was number one. And then number two, during the internship, it really is a test for both you and the company. Did they meet the values that I wanted to stand for? Did they have diversity and inclusion? Did they stand for the things that I stand for within my community? Did they support the communities that I supported? And those check boxes were all crossed off for me. And also I got to earn a little bit of money, that more than I expected to earn when I first got out of college. And that's a part of the equation. We got bills to pay when we get out of college, called student loan debt. And I know most of you guys have that philosophy, right? And so I needed a job that could sustain me personally and also financially. So that was a part of my equation when I was considering running or going for the internship with Target, and the reason why I stayed on after. Good question. Thank you.
Cool. Same thing too. Honestly, like I have worked for Target for 9 years, although I didn't go through the whole internship process. I came from a junior college, went to UC Davis, and throughout that whole time I worked at Target. And I did dabble a little bit with working in just a traditional HR role or setting. But honestly, I came back to this company because of how it's structured, what it means to be a leader, and how it develops people to going into their careers in the long run, and how much it invests in its teams. So important. It invests so much in you and the things that you can create and inspire. And that's truly like what this company is all about. And the diversity and inclusion piece is so integral within this company, and bringing all people to the table and hearing everybody's side and point of view. So amazing, honestly, especially for a corporation that is as large as Target. It really, really values what you have to say.
Thank you both for your answers. That was awesome.
Very welcome. Any other questions? I don't know what time we have, Leslie, but we're here for any other questions you guys have.
Yeah, we definitely have about 5 more minutes, so we can take a few more questions.
We're here for it.
Hi, so I just wanted to ask a quick question, and thank you so much for the presentation. A great presentation, very insightful. So could you talk a little bit about what the internship and job opportunities Target is offering right now or for the next summer?
Yeah. Leslie, you got that?
So I do know that right now they are recruiting for the winter, winter internships. At the time, it is a 12-week internship where you would be, just like you had mentioned, Nikolai, you will be with a group of leaders in the store and just going through what they do on a day-to-day basis, learning all of the leadership, the operations of the store. And you wouldn't just be in one specific role, but you would be learning absolutely every role in that and what it means to work at Target and from the bottom up. So whether it be in human resources, in assets protection, in the general merchandise piece, or in our specialty sales, really looking at where you best fit, because also at Target, we don't just put you wherever we need people in. We will work with you so that we can see and work with you where you best feel inspired and feel accomplished where you're working in, right? So that's super important. And I believe that there is the summer internship program as well. I think it's similar as well. It's 12 weeks. I believe it starts in June going into August.
Are correct.
Mm-hmm. And very similar as well. It's for junior and seniors. But we are also not just looking at juniors and seniors, but really looking into all levels of graduation years as well.
I also have to do a plug for our team leader position. These positions are just as complicated as our executive level positions. And I tell you, it gives you a leg up. I did the internship for an extended period of time for a year. And so when I got to level of in-store salaried manager, I really, truly, and honestly had a leg up to some of my peers because I understood the process. And so if you're looking for a job now where you can balance both school and work, it's difficult, but in this time of COVID and Zoom, it might be something you guys are interested in. We have plenty of those positions open across the Sacramento market and beyond.
Yes, and we do hire international students as well.
Any other questions? Well, hey, I just want to say thank you. This is one of my first Zoom version recruiting events, and you guys have been amazing. Great questions, great dialogue, and I truly and honestly appreciate you guys for taking the time to listen in to me and Leslie talk about the company that we truly and honestly love.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys taking the time on this Tuesday night to really listen to us speak about what we're passionate about, and really looking for a position anywhere you go and what your career will look like. So I really appreciate you guys letting us ramble about why we love Target as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, there we go.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. This was awesome.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, that was cool. That was cool. So I'm gonna go back to share my screen and we're gonna continue with the presentation.